Our passage today recounts the day when Jesus returned to Nazareth, preached a very short sermon there, and was immediately thrown out of town. Worse than that, after hearing that one sermon, the people who had known Jesus for nearly 30 years threatened to throw him off of one of the cliffs that were just outside of town. Boy, if you ever get to preach a sermon in your hometown, I sure hope it goes better than that for you. We're going to borrow some information from Luke's gospel to help this crazy story make some sense. And this is one of the classic examples of how the land of the Bible helps us understand the words of the Bible. Let's start with the land connection. Nazareth is a large city today. When Jesus grew up there, it was a small town. But in both eras, the city sits in the same location. It's perched on a plateau where it overlooks the northern side of the Jezreel Valley. On the southern side of the valley, about 10 miles due south of Nazareth, is the incredible fortress of Megiddo. In ancient times, no city was more important in the Middle East than Megiddo. Kings and pharaohs and emperors fought for control of Megiddo. Solomon took it and became incredibly wealthy, in part because he did. Even in more recent history, some of the world's most important land battles have been fought here. Archaeologists have found something like 30 layers of civilization in the pile of ruins, and a huge Roman camp has recently been excavated at the bottom of the hill. In short, the Valley of Megiddo, also known as the Valley of Armageddon, was the most fought-over piece of ground in the ancient world. To this day, more battles have been fought here than anywhere else in the world. Why? Because Megiddo guarded a pass or a road that provided the easiest way to cut through a row of mountains that served as a roadblock for travelers moving north and south through this land. People moving merchandise and generals leading armies from Africa, Europe, and Asia all converged on the Megiddo Pass. So whoever controlled the fortress of Megiddo could control traffic between three continents. From a practical standpoint, that means people from Africa, Asia, and Europe were constantly in the Jezreel Valley. Now, let's go back to where we started. Nazareth is just 10 miles away. It can see the world moving in the Jezreel Valley. But Nazareth was on that plateau. It's above all the traffic. The town was separated from the world. It was isolated from non-Jewish people. With that in mind, listen to two sermon illustrations that Jesus used in his famous first sermon in Nazareth. This is where Luke's telling of the story really helps. For a few minutes, the sermon went well. Jesus was handed the scroll of Isaiah, and he read a passage that had a messianic message. Jesus all but told his neighbors that he was the promised Messiah. That was good news. His neighbors from Nazareth seemed to like that idea. Then came the two illustrations. Jesus told of two people mentioned in the Bible who had had great faith. One is the widow of Zarephath. She hosted Elijah for a season of time near the Mediterranean coast in modern-day Lebanon. Zarephath lay between Tyre and Sidon. In the days of Elijah, that was Phoenician territory. Do you know who grew up in this neighborhood? Jezebel, the most wicked woman in the Bible. She was a Phoenician princess who married the worst king of Israel. Jezebel and the great prophet Elijah were sworn enemies. But in the very place where Jezebel had grown up, a woman who was not Jewish showed faith in Elijah and Elijah's God. Her faith was rewarded in a powerful way. That was perhaps not the best illustration for a community that may not have liked Gentiles. But before anyone could stop him, Jesus doubled down. He brought up Naaman the Syrian, a man who had trusted the prophet Elisha enough to dip 7 times in the Jordan River. And when he did, he left his leprosy behind. He too had shown great faith. The hatred between the Jewish people and the Assyrians has been entrenched for centuries. The Assyrians had slaughtered the people of Israel 750 years before Jesus preached this sermon, and no one in Nazareth was willing to forget that wrong. People in the Middle East have very long memories. The citizens of modern-day Israel and modern-day Syria, they're still enemies. But Naaman the Assyrian had come to the Galilee and had shown a great faith. And like the widow of Zarephath, he was blessed beyond measure. Maybe that doesn't offend you, but at that point, the people of Nazareth had heard enough. The synagogue erupted with noise. The crowd took Jesus to the edge of town and threatened to throw him into the valley, where he would, ironically, Jesus would soon find people who wanted to hear his message, and those people would take his message to the ends of the earth. Jesus wanted to reach Jewish people and non-Jewish people. He was friendly to Jews, Samaritans, and Roman soldiers. In time, Jesus would tell his followers to go everywhere with the good news. Maybe the people of Nazareth weren't ready to share God's grace with the rest of the world. If that's the case, it's little wonder why Jesus left his hometown, and as far as we know, why Jesus never came back. Racism has no place in the community of faith. The gospel is for all people. God forbid that we would ever be guilty of such an ugly sin. You want to see something tragic? Want to see what a bad attitude cost the people of Nazareth? Mark said this: Jesus could not do any miracles there except lay his hands on a few sick people and heal them. He was amazed at their lack of faith. He could not. You know, that's the only time in the Gospels when someone says Jesus could not do something. It wasn't his fault. It was a lack of faith on the part of people who knew him best, and perhaps it was a lack of love for other people. Oh, may something like that never be said of us.